This is my latest illustration, and in this video I'm gonna share the step-by-step on how I created this beautiful and customized panel for an Italian restaurant. And I'm gonna share some tips and techniques on how I painted this illustration. Hey everyone, welcome to another Mind Sketch Studio video. My name is 𝗕𝗫𝗀𝗪𝗻𝗔𝗀𝗪, and in this video I'm gonna share the step-by-step of this beautiful painting process I did for this commission, which is a panel for an Italian restaurant. The history of this illustration started when a couple of friends of mine, which are owners of an Italian restaurant here in Lisbon, requested me an illustration to be added in two of their panels in front of the restaurant. And this restaurant specifically has a very nice recipe of the PInsa Romana, which is basically an ancient version of the pizza that we have today, but with a different dough that takes different ingredients. It's lightweight and has a different format as well, but it's very tasty. And the PInsa Romana was very famous in the ancient Rome, so since the restaurant offers this ancient recipe, I thought about creating an illustration that could bring back this ancient Rome vibe to the panel and to the restaurant. My illustration proposal consisted of a Roman Centurion on the foreground holding a PInsa Romana and the Colosseum in the background, emphasizing the ancient Rome theme to the illustration. I wanted to create a beautiful blue sky on the background with soft edges on the clouds, and that's why I started applying a very diluted gouache wash as a first layer. I know that it really looks like watercolor, but it's gouache instead. I then picked up a photo reference from the Colosseum and I started painting with the same color. There were a lot of smaller details that I didn't add to the Colosseum because the main idea was representing the Roman Centurion eating the PInsa Romana in the foreground. So the background would be with less details, but even this I tried to capture the vibe from the picture I took from reference, and I tried to paint the Colosseum in a way to make the illustration more interesting. After applying a masking fluid and prepare my black gouache paint, I started using the airbrush to paint the background. As I mentioned before, the idea was emphasizing the Roman Centurion in the foreground eating the PInsa Romana. So that's why I adopted an entire black background so the character could stand out more in the panel. Now it was time to start painting our gladiator. My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, and I will eat my PInsa Romana in this life or the next. The skin tones I painted in the way that I used to paint. Firstly, I like to do the outlines with the same color that I'm gonna paint the skin tone, and after that I fill all the areas and then retouch the outlines later on. The reason I do this is because since gouache is an opaque medium, I figure out through my painting process that if I outline the areas and then come with the same color covering the area and also the outline won't disappear but will become less evident. And that's the style that I like. I don't like very hard outlines and I don't like dark outlines as well. The main reference to create this illustration was some illustrations from my favorite illustrator, which is Angus MacBride. 𝗕𝗃𝗃𝗃 was an illustrator famous to portray thousands of scenes from medieval times and also different cultures, and he had a couple of Roman Empire illustrations, and I used some of his centurions to base my armor and character elements. I think what I like the most about the Roman Centurion clothes are the red parts. They are just amazing. They just stand out more than the other parts, creating a very beautiful contrast and combination. Now it was time to paint one of my favorite parts and the most expected part of this illustration, which is the chainmail armor of our Roman Centurion. I really love to paint chainmail because it's basically a very small part of a whole process. You just add the first layer, then you create some outlines, add some shadows, then come wrapping up with some highlights. After adding the first coat of shadows and highlights, I like to come with a second coat of gray to cover all the details that I created, so in the next step I could emphasize the highlights with the final touches. There are a lot of different ways to draw and paint chainmail, but this one is my favorite one because painting detail after detail, you can really see the chainmail coming to life, and it adds a really nice effect on the final illustration. Painting the PInsa Romana was not something difficult. I just got some references from internet. And the interesting thing is that one of the most famous flavors of the PInsa Romana has my wife's name, which is the 𝗕𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. The final steps for this illustration were creating some darker areas and contrast, adding some shades, and emphasizing highlights in other areas. The final touch was adding some glow effects and highlights with white gouache on the Centurion armor. This technique elevates the status of the illustration, brings more reality to the visuals, and makes the final result looks way more interesting. And this is the final illustration, which I called Roman Centurion eating a PInsa Romana. I hope you guys enjoyed the illustration, the video, and the painting process. If you like this video, give a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share with a friend. For those who are already subscribed, thanks for supporting my channel. If you are not subscribed yet, make sure to hit the bell button to see more content like this, and stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.